Britain has so many wonderful pubs or public houses. Length and breadth of Britain, you'll find incredible little pubs where you can get marvellous food and good beer. And this is just a typical example of one here in Bedfordshire, in North Bedfordshire. This is the Sun Inn Felmersham. So I'm going to paint this today. And this is from a photograph I took just a few days ago. And look at the sky and the shadows and the bright and the fluffy clouds. But principally the star, of course, is the sun. Just look at that. Recently being refurbished, new thatching, and I think they do some Airbnb, but principally the meals are fantastic there. You've got to call in if you're passing by. So let's get on with the painting anyway. I'm going to start with the sky. I've just got to get that sky in. So let's get, I want to preserve some nice whites. There's some lovely, lovely whites there. So I need to get, I think, a nice ultramarine to capture that lovely deep blue sky. And I'm using at the moment some paints I had some while, but I've started to use them more now. They're Sennelier. Absolutely magnificent, creamy, rich colours. So I'm going to give them a whirl today. The set is principally was purchased for doing botanical drawings, but I'm not accomplished enough to do that. So I just using the colours for my general landscape work. So let's get a nice rich ultramarine going in the sky. We're going to leave some areas for the clouds. This white area here, but I want to get a sweep in here of blue. Just leave a few elements. Much paler down here behind these trees. But let's go with that. Leave some little bits of cloud. Smaller in the distance, so we can get some aerial perspective. Right, I'm going to stay with that. And I'll take a slightly damp brush and soften some of the edges. I don't want hard edges. The big tree is coming over here, so we'll have some sky holes. But let's get a nice soft edge on some of these sections. Right. Okay. Higher in the sky, you have more intense blue. I think we'll just run a bit more in there. You can see I've got the board tilted as well. So let's get a bit of tissue and smudge out some of those areas. So get a sort of misty, wispy sky. Right. I had a compositional issue with this picture. Obviously there's the star of the show is here, the pub itself. Got some outbuildings here, and if I wanted some perspective, it's looking up a hill actually to the main street there, with a few cottages down the end and some houses here. So our eye is taken certainly into the picture, but I've got this big slab of road. So how to deal with that, of course. So I've got, it's in the light, so I'm going to have shadow, so we can break it up to some degree and get us some texture. But it was a little puzzle on how to deal with that. So I think I'm just going to get a basic wash in initially to cover up some of this road, sort of greyish neutral tone. Going to vary it so we can have a lot of variety in it. If we are brave enough, pathway along here, using a mop brush to give us this initial wash. And I've got to keep areas of it light because we've got the sunlight as well, but we've got areas of darkness and shadow. So let's just put that in for the moment. I'd like to put some linear marks in though to help our eye go in. This bit is considerably darker, so I'm going to use some of my darker blues and reds that I've got here. Give me a little bit darker colour to break it up. You don't want this mass to be the same. I've got to keep it interesting, so I think I'm going to just go there. A little bit more darkness. This is wet on wet, so it bleeds in there quite nicely. And out here we have shadow area. I haven't put the trees in this course in the shadow, but we've got an opportunity now. Well, it's wet on wet. Very heavily shadowed along here. And some shadows of telegraph poles and what have you coming down here, actually, just behind me. So I think we could stay with that. Got some dark here. And have this tarmac textural elements along there. And more shadowed area. The road comes round here, so we'll probably put some detail in there shortly, but let's leave that. Now, where do we go to from here? I guess we ought to just put something into the, see if we can get some of that thatch. It's recently been thatched actually, so it's toning down over the course of a few months it's been done. But I'm just going to see what I've got here. I've got a bit of test paper. See if we can go with something like this. You can see I've sketched it out in a fair amount of detail. I've got to try and start with a fairly accurate picture or drawing if you're going to try and do some fairly tightish representation of it. If your drawing's not right, you have a hard job getting it going. A little bit there. Right, I think I'm going to darken it up a little bit in areas. So a bit of reds with my blues and greens that I have left on my palette here. Give me a chance to drop something darker when it's wet on wet. Get a nice diffused and along that raised piece there, the windows are tucked away. Into the thatch. Try and get some shadow area under there. Let's stay with that, I think. Leave the odd light area. And that is darker into there. Right. I think I'm going to go for a smaller brush. Slightly smaller. Got a bit more control. Just want to soften that bit there. Right, okay. Now this, we've got various dark roux actually. Let's make use of this darker colours now and put that little bit of roof there. And also there's a dark structure here, comes right in, butting up, it's in the distance, like that, and way back there, the top of this hill, there's some cottages, so we'll just hint at that. Here we've got to get a slaty colour. This is a slate that's butting up against this thatched area, but I've noticed This is all slate, tiles. Right. Try and leave a little bit of light, which could suggest some silvery tiles. So we've got difference in tone between this and this, which is what I want. And we've got at the back here, let's get a little bit lighter, a bit slightly yellower tone on this part of the thatch here. Up against the chimneys. Do that. Comes here, got some beautiful thatch decorative work here. Sort of little peak which projects over, and let's do that. That's the chimney there, and let's put a little bit of colour into the thatch of it, projecting a bit there. Okay, leave it. Let's get a little bit of green in here, help frame us. It's fairly lightish vegetation here, hanging over this wall. And also back in the distance over a little bit of a roof line there, which I've got to put in. And here, this is a light tree. Let's get something a bit greener than that. Mix some of our blues. Some green here. A little bit darker here. Right, so let's go with that. Okay, also got trees here, some vegetation sticking out behind the sun here, and vegetation up here. It's a nice green. Let's get a fairly lightish one, brighty in parts of this. I think we could lighten that up a bit. Some yellowy textures there. Got some here. Sticking out behind this chimney line. We've got some sort of yellow because it's catching the light. The light is coming right to left. So let's see if I can capture some of the lightness. Some of these, this needs, I think, to be a lot darker here, down here. we've got some bricky structure, some brick wall there. So let's get some, I think it's a bit brick-like. So I'm making one of my reds, some yellow. We can get some of that in here. Right. And there's some nice light stone, like limestone, in some of these walls up here. So I want to put some ochre in there in a moment. But let's get some of our brick done. And I can use this colour actually in some of these chimneys. Just wash them in there. Got several chimneys here, which we can get more detail as we go. But this just do our general sort of layering it up a little bit. There, we'll go with that. Another one here. Can put a more vivid bit on the top for the pots, the chimney pots. And also we've got here is a house there. So I'm going to do that. I could darken up some elements. So add a bit of red to these bluey mixtures. A bit more. Don't want to use straight red because it's nothing kills your picture better or quicker than that. And so I forgot where I was going to put this. Yes, I know. Just going to vary. Put a little bit of dark building in there. Milk shed. Or a garage structure, I think, actually. It's just here we are. And this, can use this as well. It's a bit too light. Okay, and some of it down behind there. Now, where can I use some of this dark? Yes, this is an outbuilding of the pub, which is a sort of wooden structure. Some planking. Some windows here. Just sweep it in. Doorway there. So a little bit of dry work there, which allows me to hint at some of the timbers perhaps that are come along here. I have to put this a lot darker actually in some of these areas. Yes, certainly under here. So very dark eaves structure there. And we've got some white, a little bit of a barge board. Got to put in a minute. Let's just make sure we've got something in our foreground. Colours tend to be more intense closer to you. So let's do that. Okay, we'll leave that for the moment. And the front, this, actually I should step up my dark there. Really isn't as dark as it should be for this face. So, need to have this down here a lot darker. And under these eaves. Like that. Right. Now along here, this is a deep cast shadow actually. There was a bin here, red waste bin. Now should I put this in or not? It's a big red object. But okay, I want to record the scene to some extent as it was. So perhaps I should deal with that a little bit later. But let's just get that line in there. Oh, this is on my tape actually. That's coming off. I've taped somewhat over my drawing. I want to give an edge, but I did unfortunately cover some of my sketch. Now, where do we go? We've got to get again, I'm wondering whether I still need some darks. My road here. Also shadow area coming down here. But perhaps we'll deal with that in a moment. Actually, well, I've got this shadowy colour. A little bit of purpley colour. Purple bluey colour. I think I'm going to make use of that. A bit more water there. And this is all deep shadow. This path along here. Shadows across the road. Should we get that red? No, let's get on with some of the buildings. I think we need to give some colour to some of these. There. sometimes you have to simplify because it's all too busy, so you have to decide sometimes what you leave, what you're going to leave out. So let's get a bit of that wall in. I want a bit of an ochre colour actually. Let's go to my other palette. Yes, I think we ought to put in the face of the pub. It is the star of the show after all. I'm just going to keep this fairly light. I've got little bits of terracotta tile over these windows, which I'll do in a moment. Let's get all this in, just to give us a start. I've got some nice flower tubs as well in front at the moment, so we've got to try and get those in. Some nice colour. And this is in the light too. That's a bit brighter there. It's catching the sun. There's a table and chair out there. We've got to get that in a minute. And this, the face of this, same sandy colour. I must try and alter that tone slightly though, so we can hint at the shadow form. Very difficult actually. They're quite light. Probably make it a little darker in places, yes. We've got to do that because it will dry a lot lighter. So let's do little bits of lighter. Or darker, this is a bit darker here. Yes. Right, there we go. Like that. Building there behind, and that comes down there. Which I think I need to alter that ochre a little bit. Put a little bit of darker tone along the top elements here. Let's go with that. It's certainly the upper part here is darker than that lower bit. So let's make sure we got a hint of that. Right. Okay, I want but not come down too far. Although, wait a minute. I could do that in a minute. This is not dark enough. What do I need here? More green. Let's get more green in here. So here, coming over that wall. Right. Got our signpost in here. Pub sign, the Sun, Felmersham. Look at that. Right. Again, still much darker needed. So I think I've got to go with a bit of Payne's grey and step up the dark a little bit here. And that wall as well. Because if I have darks, it will emphasize the bright on the sun, which is what I want to do, of course. Oh, I need to get some of that. Darker under here too. The eaves. Get a bit of shadowy colour, I think. Bit of crimson, alizarin, a little bit of blue, ultramarine. What have we got? There. A little bit of blue in our shadows. Yes, comes along like that. And under here, certainly, we haven't got anything like enough shadow. We generally need to darken this roof somewhat as well. I think I haven't got anything like, so I've just changed a few randomly colours, earth tones from my palette. Tiles, it's a bit too light. We can need to put some darks in here to offset the lightness of the front of the pub. And again, I think I'm going to get more dark there. Some shadow coming out with these buildings here on the road. Darker here and that roof there. Smudge it in a bit. Put some details onto the thatching as well. Got these lovely decorative work of the thatcher here. Little curves, little amazing work. And under here is very dark. I've got to put in our windows. Of course, we'll do that as we go. Let's make sure we got those lines in. On a hardish line. Again, put in those shapes. Right, Now under here, yes, I think we need to bring that green down. So let's, all this is green. Could be a bit bright, a bit green, a bit brighter, so let me get a bit of lemon yellow with my green. Yes, we need to do that. I can see where I need some brighter green on there, and the tree out here as well. Okay, got some greens down here actually. A little bit of interest, a few weeds on the road there, and we've got to put some flowers down here, but we'll just drop in a bit of odd bit of green for the moment. And now I'm going to, I think we get a smaller brush and see if I can put some of this ochre stonework that we've got in places here. Along here. Some ochre. Nice bit of stonework there, and some steps to the back garden. Got a nice beer garden here. Can't have a good beer. Right, there we go. Some could try and put some more marks in there. Might represent some brick effect. Yes, we can do that. Use a slightly dry brush and a fairly thick paint. Can sometimes suggest it. A gap there too. I want to show that in a minute with a little bit of dark shadowy colour perhaps. See what we've got here. A little bit of red. That's a bit severe that. Let's get rid of that. Bit of Payne's grey. Bit of red there. Let's get that gap there. In the way in there, look. Okay. Now there I want to get a darkish tree. This sort of coppery colour. The odd bin here. Let's get that table in. So you can sit here and enjoy a nice beer. There's windows in. And look at this lovely lantern here. Great shape. Now what I've got under there, oh, a bit of got a shadow under those windows there on the floor there. Get these windows in. Just trying to see what I've got. Oh, I know what this is, just the shadows coming down from this structure here. I've got to get in the sign as well. Yes, it's just here. We'll have to try and pick that up in a minute with something. All right, we've got to put these tiles in as well. Windows here. Glass. Nice yellow door. I can do that in a minute. Show that line a bit better there. Drain pipe down there. I've got to get this bit of wall in and a gate, 5-barred gate there. Say a row of cottages along there. We'll introduce some colour as well. Can show the line of the road a bit better there. Right. Now let's tighten up on some features. Let's get my bit of that wall again, just down behind the gate. I need to put some colour in there. We'll do that. Notice we've got, oh, that's sort of venting system for the kitchen, I suspect. We can tighten up on these things with you can do a lot of detail if you want in a watercolour, but sometimes less is more. You don't want to put too much. You've got to let the viewer do some work so they can put their own thought on it. Now, do I put that bin in or not? I don't know. Well, let's get the terracotta, all the tiling, all these overhangs here. Let's put them in. They're a nice feature, actually. Do that. And then we can do a little bit of colour with the with our brickwork as well. They've all got a nice little pot on the top, like that. But you need to put something in our, step up our brickwork, I think. Oh yes, this is, I haven't made that big enough. I'll have to step that up a little bit. Yes. We've got some nice streaks of white that comes down from it. I noticed that, so I'm going to try and do that. The shadow side, actually, strange enough, is this side. So I need to do that, keep these a little lighter. So I've got it opposite, so you can lift a little bit there. Okay. Right, how am I doing for time? Oh, I've got to get a nice coppery tree down the bottom. I think it was a bit coppery. Yes, it looks like a coppery purpley colour. So let's have a go at that. It's definitely here. Nice, mature tree. Beautiful. So we'll do that. I think we could bring it out actually a bit more. And they've got some greens as well. At the base of it, some green hedges that I've noticed there. Right. Okay. Let's get that lovely door in. And we haven't got the signpost or the tubs in, have we? Let's get a nice yellow, cadmium yellow. Let's get a really nice colourful door. Why not? Let me think, is that the right colour? Yes, that'll do it. Yes, got our door in. We go with that. And we could step up our bit of stonework there by adding a smidge of yellow to it. And we need to put some pots down here. Got some pots here. leave it in there. Well, I've got some nice terracotta colour. Let's improve this man's brickwork. Right. Oh yes, I said we could put a little colour into one of those houses in the distance. Let me think. Now, do I put in that waste bin? Come on, let's go for a little bit of red. Some serious red, why don't we? Then I can put a nice shadowy colour over it as well. This will be half of it's going to be dulled out because I should put a shadow on it. I've got to do that. Now I know what I've got. We haven't got the defibrillator on the wall. We better put that in just to by that window. So let's get a nice little smudge of yellow there for that little box that they have. And with the little green sign above it as well. We need to do that as well. Let's use that yellow again to get some light. We've got to get these shadows though. Under these eaves, have I done enough? See, what I could do is emphasize that chimney a little bit more. See, I can tighten up on the details considerably if I wish. Right. Better bring in that right. Yes, what we haven't got in is the signage. How do I do that? I think it's a white, isn't it? I think we need to get some wash, really. We need some serious white to pick that up. There are a few white features and highlights that we can put in as well. Got to get the sign. The sign is on a big white pole. So I really need to do that, I think. We need to do something with our flowers as well. Let's squeeze a little bit out into our palette. Bit of gouache. Yes, that's what we need to do. Because there's some quite strong whites in places. So if you take a fairly creamy mixture, we need to have the sign just here. So we're going to put his pole there, and I think we'll just put in then we can go over it with something. This house section, that gable end, we need that white. And we need certain parts of this coming out here, and white, so these frames. Yes, I think we can do that. Yeah, we could bring this down a little bit, these little bit of dry work. A little mark on there, a few highlights. Now this, yes, this needs to be white. Good slab of white. Thicker, actually, a bit wider there. And these left a little bit of staining down here from the lead work. Got some highlights on the cherry there. And I know, just on the edge of our little tile canopies, and some just whites here. Catching the things. Right. Now I haven't got my 5-bar gate in. Just got to go for that. Let's get a little bit of umber. Oh, sienna, what should we do? Want a very nice colour, bright. The brown there of that gate. We'll just go with that. Another one in there. Represent, doesn't have to be totally accurate. There's some planks along there, and actually they've got a nice little staircase there outside, which leads to the beer garden. So we've got to have that. More detail, I think, in our window there, and a bit of shadow under there. Well, here is the completed picture of the Sun in Felmersham. I've done a few additional things, put in the white line here, the parking thing here, a few little highlights with some gouache, done some tightening up on some of the textures and shadows. On reviewing it, I'm reasonably happy. I've kept the nice light feature which I wanted to do. The sun is coming from right to left, and I think it captures the this beautiful little village and this pub here. So let's take off the tape and see when it's framed up. Get a much better picture. There we go. There it is. So we have the sun. As I said, if you like what I'm doing, please give me a like and a thumbs up. And if you'd like to subscribe, that will give you a tip off when I put up another one. So anyway, all in all, fairly happy with it. Thanks for watching.